Hi everyone, welcome to True Prosperity. This is an advanced course in unlimited abundance. My name is Linda Leland and this is Module 2 and the topic is trust. And you're really going to see how beautifully these modules all work together and how they really lean on each other and empower one another. So your first module was the foundation for this whole program. And this second module is really, really so important because without trust, without choosing to trust God, the steps that come after this just really aren't going to hold up. So I want to give you the dictionary definition of trust before we go forward. So trust is a firm belief in the accountability, truth, ability, and strength of something or someone. So we're here talking about trusting God. So we're here talking about relying on the accountability of God, that God is always there and always going to show up. And we're talking about the truth of God, and we're relying on the ability and the strength of God. So up until now, we really haven't been doing that. We've been relying on the ability and the strength of our small self. And that's just a really fearful way to live, because in that mindset, we're alone. We're acting as the sole manager of our life and of our level of abundance, of our health. You know, we're going out here to try to control things in such a way that we don't end up penniless and sick and all by ourselves. And it doesn't work. It's never worked. And I'm sure that's why you're here, because it hasn't worked. And that's really a good place to be, because we need that contrast before we're willing to really step in and show up in a whole new way. So that being said, it's time we're here to get off the hamster wheel. And that's why this is an advanced course in abundance, because, you know, our first module was seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all else will be added unto you. Seek God first. Look to God. Only God. That's all. That's it. That's all you need to do. It's a very, very powerful lesson. And that's also why tithing is a requirement in this course, because it is a physical, tangible action of one who trusts God as the one and only source of their good and wants to live in that flow. So we're really not messing around anymore. So that being said, I have one very, very important question for you. And that is, have you had enough? And I want you to be really honest with yourself. Have you had enough of doing everything by yourself? And if you haven't, that's fine. If you have a couple of solutions that you want to give a shot out there on your own, hit the pause button and go do that now and come back here and we'll be waiting for you. Because without choosing to trust God, you're not going to get a whole lot of benefit out of the rest of this program. So, A Course in Miracles says in more than one occasion that we have exchanged everything for nothing. So Jesus says, and I quote, "It's not that you ask for too much, but you ask for far too little." And this is exactly what he's talking about. We've already been given everything. But when we're looking out here for some temporary small solution, we've turned away from all that. We can't see it. So that's what he means by we're exchanging everything for nothing. So what this program is about is us turning this whole thing back around. And you know, one of the important things that we need to know so that we can exchange that nothing back in for everything is we have to be willing to be wrong about everything we ever believed. So I want to read something so awesome to you right now from Workbook Lesson 47 in A Course in Miracles. It says, if you are trusting in your own strength, you have every reason to be apprehensive, anxious, and fearful. What can you predict or control? What is there in you that can be counted on? What would give you the ability to be aware of all the facets of any problem and to resolve them in such a way that only good can come from it? What is there in you that gives you the recognition of the right solution and the guarantee that it will be accomplished? Of yourself, you can do none of these things. To believe that you can is to put your trust where trust is unwarranted, and to justify fear, anxiety, depression, anger, and sorrow. Who can put his faith in weakness and feel safe? Yet who can put his faith in strength and feel weak? God is your safety in every circumstance. There are no exceptions because God has no exceptions. Isn't that beautiful? He's clearly telling us that we have been relying on the unreliable. And so we really need to trade that old thought system in and be willing to adopt a whole new one if we want to come into unlimited abundance and if we want to trust God. And most people say they trust God, but they really don't. They give it a lot of lip service, but their actions don't match up. And that's really important. And, I'm going to use the example of if you were inviting a friend over for coffee and you really trusted and loved that friend, and you called them and you asked them on their way over for coffee, could they pick up some half and half? Would you hang up the phone and run out to the store and buy half and half? No. Would you start Googling the recipe for half and half in case there was a half and half shortage? No. You would be setting the table and making coffee and laying out the sugar cubes and getting ready and relying. And your behavior would exemplify your trust. So again, most of the time we say we trust God, but we really, really don't. And, we're putting our trust now in something that we can't see with our eyes. So it can feel awkward and it can feel scary. We've never learned how to trust God in school. We've never been formally trained on trusting God. That is until right now. So I want to talk to you about what it is we're trusting in exactly. And I want to talk to you about how to develop that trust. So what are we trusting in? There are two things. And they are uncompromising, which means they are the truth, and they are always, in every circumstances, at all times. And the first one is that God is the only source of all of your good, and that He's already given you everything. And the second one is that the universe responds to your beliefs. Your choices affect the level to which your abundance flows. So those are the two things we're trusting in. And if we were going to put those together in a simple way, what that really means is to give everything to God and get out of the way. This is actually an undoing. We are making space for God's love to flow through. That is true abundance. And now we are supported by all the powers of the universe in all ways. No exceptions. One other part of the manual for teachers that I want to read to you right now that's absolutely beautiful. It says, when this power has once been experienced, it is impossible to trust one's own petty strength again. Who would attempt to fly with the tiny wings of a sparrow when the mighty power of an eagle has been given him? And who would place his faith in the shabby offerings of the ego when the gifts of God are laid before him? And that's from the Manual of Teachers. And he also talks about the development of trust. And this is great because he makes it clear that when we start off trusting, it's uncomfortable because the ego thought system at the beginning sees trust as a sacrifice. It sees that letting go of the illusion that we're somehow in control somehow feels like a sacrifice. But he promises that you will be completely guided and that discomfort will fade away and you will experience real peace and you will experience absolute abundance. So we'll talk about how to develop trust. And there are 3 things that are needed. And they are courage, acceptance, and the present moment. So let's start with courage. Courage is a higher vibration, a much higher vibration than one of living like you're separate and alone. And it's, as soon as you say yes, that's courage. And as soon as you say yes, the universe starts sort of rearranging everything. But the key is to stay in it, even when it gets uncomfortable. Because once you say yes to putting your life in God's hands, the ego is going to kick up some dirt. It's going to go crazy in the forms of different thoughts of doubt, from anything from doubt to terror, uncertainty, fear, confusion. So courage is to have the willingness to experience some uncertainty and some discomfort. That's what courage is. And we're having the courage to choose to trust God over and over again. And we just keep choosing it. And this is how we go from an intellectual concept of God to actually experiencing God. And you can wait another 500 years for your life to line up, for the stars to align perfectly, so that you feel very comfortable handing your whole life over to God. Or you can do it right now. And the next is acceptance. Acceptance is even a higher vibrational energy than courage. And this is acceptance is the way somebody acts when they trust God. This is how they live. Because you don't know anything. You don't have the answers. You can't see the whole picture. So you're going to leave it to one who can. You're going to leave it to one who's always drawing everyone and everything to their highest potential. It's like the acorn or the embryo. The acorn miraculously and beautifully develops into a mighty oak, and the embryo brilliantly transforms into a baby. That's God pulling itself into its highest potential. The only difference between the acorn and the embryo and us is the acorn and the embryo don't take a left turn thinking they have a better way. So we're trusting in that brilliance for us and for everyone else. So accepting and trusting God means trusting people and trusting circumstances. I love using the statement, I'm okay, you're okay, and it's okay. It will help remind you all the time about this brilliance that is guiding us all perfectly, and we need to get out of the way. And thirdly is the present moment. So we cannot trust God in the past, and we can't trust God in the future. It's impossible. God is only right in the present moment. So just for fun, we're going to try it. I'll just sit down and close your eyes for a moment, and I want you to try to trust 5 minutes ago. You can't. It's impossible. And now let's try it in the future. So let's just close your eyes and see if you can trust 5 minutes from now. There's nothing there. It doesn't exist. Everything you need is right here in the present moment. So to trust God, you only have to see what's before you in this very present moment and surrender that to God right now. That's it. We don't need to complicate it. There's no need to worry. It's just all happens in this very now moment. So we're really just totally getting out of the driver's seat into the passenger seat here. You can't drive. You keep getting lost and bumping into things. We are literally going to pull over, get out, get into the passenger seat, and buckle up. This is what trust is. Because you don't know where you're going. How could you possibly know how to get there? And we don't have to worry about our bank accounts or people who come and go in our lives, or our jobs or investments or anything. Those are not the source of your good. Those are channels that God, the one and only source of your good, acts through. And there are millions of them. And the level to which all of these channels flow is in direct connection with your level of trust. So I congratulate you for being here. The struggle is over, and today's the day. So we're going to add another practice on. That's the end of Module 2. I'm going to tell you about your practice that's going to be added on for the remainder of your time here in this program. So remember, each module is going to add on a new practice. So by the end of the 7 weeks, you should have 7 new practices that you're using in your life. So your practice, starting today for the rest of the program, is we have attached a short 5 or so minute meditation. It's actually more of a declaration, of an intention to devote this day, every day, one day at a time, to God. And it's short, it's only about 5 or 6 minutes, so you should absolutely be able to set the intention to set the time aside and do that every morning. And I'm also going to attach a PDF, the written transcript of the meditation, because it's really powerful also if you want to record it on your phone in your own voice and listen to it every morning. So thank you for being here. We're so excited for you. And remember to do all of your practices. They really, really do make all the difference in the world. And we'll see you next week for Module 3.